Hey everyone. Rick Albert here with Mike Izbotsky. We're going to do our own introductions. So I'll go and get started. I'm a broker associate with Lamerica Real Estate. I'm also a house hacker and investor here in Los Angeles. Go ahead, Mike, take it away.
What's up, everybody? I am Michael Izbotsky. I'm a certified financial planner and owner of From Planning to Living, basically focusing on financial planning and investment management. So Rick and I thought it would be an awesome time, given everything going on, to talk about real estate, talk about the stock market, personal finance. As you can see, people think that this stuff has hit the fan. So figured it'd be a good time to put some questions together and get answers for you.
Yeah, and a lot of these questions came from you guys. So if you have more questions, feel free to send them to us, because if we get enough of them, we'll do another video answering them, because if you're thinking that, so is everybody else. So why don't I go ahead and get started. So one question was, some people have already filed their tax returns and some are expecting a refund. What should they be doing with that refund?
Wow. So that, I don't know if it's a loaded question, but there's so much you can do. And depending on your situation, it depends what you should do. So given the situation we're in now, where there's a lot of uncertainty, whether or not you're going to have your job in the next few months, because people are nervous about these small businesses closing their doors, layoffs, etc. Always, regardless of the economic situation, I always say to have at least 6 months worth of hard expenses saved up, 6 months minimum. If you're an entrepreneur, commission based, I bump that number up to 10 to 12 months, because you might have a couple of dry months. So the first thing you got to do is say, hey, do I have 6 months worth of cash saved up in my bank account, in my safe, something that is accessible quickly, something that is FDIC insured or pretty much risk-free. And I'm doing quotes if you're investing in US government bonds. Essentially, they're risk-free. So that's the number one. If you have that taken care of and you want to take advantage of the stock market lows, that's another opportunity you can do. But again, number one, cash is king in these scenarios. You want to have at least 6 months worth of expenses saved first. So that's what I would recommend.
So even if you have some debts, as of right now, keep making the payments on the debts rather than trying to pay them off, because we don't know what's going to happen going forward.
Right. Yeah. So you got to get to a point where, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase it. So you just got to take care of the fundamentals. So again, that's the 6 months worth of expenses, emergency fund, cash reserve, and then start paying down your debt. I mean, things like a mortgage, if you're making consistent payments, fine.
Sure.
If it's a car lease, car loan, fine. But if you're in credit card debt, use that refund to pay down that credit card debt, because they're hammering you so hard, at least 25% APR. I mean, it could be a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but roughly 25%. So $1,000 balance, you just let it go. That's $250 for the year.
That adds extra up so fast.
And that adds up quickly. And that's just $1,000. So bump that to $10,000. That's $2,500. Like, that is a lot of money.
That's a lot of traveling you could do once we can actually fly.
Oh yeah, that's like 2 round trips, like, to Europe, give or take. So for sure, savings, pay off your credit card debt, most importantly, and whatever else you have left over, start investing, I would say. I mean, now's a pretty good time.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, okay, so I actually, in relation to that, okay, fine. You get your tax return back, you have your finances in order, and we're on the topic of investing. A lot of people view real estate as a great investment tool, which I agree with. So my question to you is, now a good time to buy? Is it possible to buy? I've heard that showings are, this whole social distancing, are you even able to show homes anymore? And like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, so the California Association of Realtors first basically said no open houses, because you can't have more than 10 people in a group.
Okay.
Then over this past weekend, and we're filming this on the 24th of March, that basically said no face-to-face, no in-person showings. So right now, everything's in limbo. Some realtors are doing virtual tours, right? So there's different like camera setups where you can actually walk through a house. Some people are doing the videos. In my experience, I've never seen someone buy a house just based off a virtual tour. So in terms of buying, yes, you can still buy all the other entities. Like if you're already under contract,
Right.
that stuff can still roll and that stuff can still close.
Okay.
Those entities are still open. Construction's still happening. But in terms of actually going to see a house to buy it, that's not happening right now.
So my question then, so let's say I'm trying to buy a place. Let's say it's like my first home, and
Okay.
I've already been looking for 3 weeks, a month. I mean, should I put things on pause? Like, should I continue having, someone like you look for me at the home? So when this whole, pandemic, whether or not it is an air quote, fine, let's call it a pandemic, when it's over, should I just have a list of homes where I can just, hit the streets and start looking? Or, I mean, what have you been hearing from your clients with that?
So there's a couple things.
Okay.
Some of my clients have put it on hold, which
Okay.
I've talked to them about. What I would do is there's a couple things. One, I would look at the past homes you are interested in and see if you can make one of those work. And I say that because you can write an offer on them and
Okay.
nobody else can see it. Right? So right now, or before COVID-19, there was a ton of competition. Like every offer I wrote for buying clients in the last year has been multiple offers. Now, some of these homes are just sitting there. So if you go back and say, you know what, I can make this home work at this price, I'm going to go ahead and write an offer on it. If you're a seller, you're like, well, I don't know what's going to happen after all this is done.
Right.
They have seen the house. I can't do any more showings. They're more likely to play ball. So you actually have an opportunity to get a good deal on a house if you do it now. If for some reason you didn't like anything you saw, which is fine, I get it, then the best thing you could do is still search and prepare and then have your realtor reach out to those agents and say, hey, put me on your list. So when we can start doing showings, we're already in communication. So I have a listing right now. It's a condo in Ladera Heights. I already have 11 buyers on that list. So when the time comes, I'm just going to hit the ground running, call every single one of them that day and start scheduling showings.
Okay. So I guess this is, I mean, I'm just trying to think. So how would this work from a standpoint of, so if right now it might be good time to write an offer because there's so much uncertainty, so you might get a better deal. However, if you're trying to sell a home, I mean, it's so hard to say. It can go either way. So,
right.
I mean, what is what assumption do you have, if any, like to the,
what's going
to
to
the
happen?
home value? Yeah. What's going to happen? Like, it's going to be like, I know it's hard to say. Yeah, no, I know it's impossible, but, I mean, what are you trying to do right now with your clients? I know, yeah, it's hard to say because I don't deal in real estate. So my question for you, I guess, is, liquidity aspect of it. I know you mentioned that you're lining up your clients, whether it's your clients who are selling or buying, just to hit the ground running and kind of tackle it as it comes. But I guess one of my other questions is, are people more opposed to selling right now at the same time, or are they more willing to sell because they just want to get it off their hands, in case the price goes down? I mean, have you seen more, like, where's the interest lying right now?
Right.
I guess.
Yeah. So
buying versus selling.
The big question is, how long are we going to be in quarantine?
Exactly.
If we're going to be in quarantine until now, Trump just announced he's trying to push everything to end on like April 11th, April 12th. If that happens and we all go back to work, we're all, normal,
right?
Then so will the market. Everything will just kind of bounce back. It might take a little bit, but that's why I'm saying if you prepare now, you can jump ahead while everyone else is trying to scramble. In terms of a seller, you can do the listing appointments now, meet with the realtors, create a strategy, but in terms of actually putting it on the market, if you can't do showings, why bother?
Fair enough. Yeah, fair
Right?
point.
Like,
Fair point.
why bother? All you can do is say, okay, based off the sales that have happened, here's a price, here's the price range, right? So we're going to list somewhere here around this date, you know, get everything set up. But unfortunately, you have to play day by day when it comes to listing a home that's already been listed. In terms of home values, again, it just depends on how long we're in this, because there's way more buyers than there are sellers. So even if, and I just throwing out a number, but let's say 20% of the buyers went away, but there's still plenty of buyers and inventory is still so low, it won't make much of a difference.
Right.
So one example, and you and I actually talked about this the other day, is I wrote an offer. We were one of 28 offers.
Insane.
It's totally insane.
Insane.
Nobody saw that coming. And so I was like, fine, get rid of 10% of those buyers. Get rid of 3 buyers. You know, you're down to 25 offers. Okay. So I think the seller's still going to be happy. So that's what we're seeing. So it's going to come down to how long we're in quarantine. If it's over the long haul, then it's definitely a different conversation. We'll have to do
Oh, yeah.
another one of these conversations.
Oh, yeah.
But if it ends in April and the majority of businesses get back to work, all that, it's going to be business as usual, most likely.
I hear you. I mean, yeah, just it's to your point. It's hard to say what's going to happen, right? I know a lot of times the real estate market has its ebbs and flows and zigs and zags, same as the stock market does. So
Right.
that's one question that I'm sure you and I have both been getting, like, what
Oh, for
direction
sure.
is it going to go? Like, of course, long term, up, right?
Yeah.
Just long term, regardless.
Like,
History
sure.
shows, yeah, long term. Now, is it going to be 2 months that it's going to be down? 3 months, 3 years? You know, no one knows. But to your point, you said Trump is trying to get, I think, what was it, like Easterish? He wants to
Yeah,
stimulate the
exactly.
economy, but all these big wig scientists, doctors, whatever, they're saying, no, don't be crazy. We might need to quarantine for longer. So, okay, fine. They have people go back to work, and then everyone starts getting sick again. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. So
We could also get hit by a meteor. I mean,
yeah, right.
things
What the hell?
happen.
Of course. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I know it's impossible to predict. I mean, I have clients asking me too, basically, like, what should I do now? Like, and my biggest thing is, so in 2018, the stock market was down roughly 20%, right? So basically, or excuse me, 2012, not 2018. It was like, let's say 2012 was down like 18% or so, right? So it took 1 month to come back. 2018, I want to say, I think it was actually 20-ish%. I have to double check the facts. I think it took maybe 2 to 4 months to recover. So like, that's quick, right? So
Yeah.
people forget about it. It's just like a blip. But then if you look at a place or a time like 2008, 2009, the financial crisis, the stock market went down nearly 50%, and it took 3 to 4 years to recover. But if you were doing things, you're like, if you just went along and you weren't like, you just stuck to the plan and you're able to weather the storm like you've planned for, like your clients have planned for, and like my clients have planned for, you end up ahead. I know we talked about this, I think it was yesterday or the day before, basically, even if you bought at the height of the 2008, right, real estate market and financial stock market, right? If you held on and you didn't sell, you were way ahead. The people who lost are the ones who actually sold out at the bottom and just lagged behind. So it's just so hard. You can't predict, right?
Right.
It could be a matter of 2 months, 3 months, 2 years, or 3 years. You know, it's so hard
Oh, yeah.
to
Well, I
predict.
think what people tend to forget is a recession is defined by 2 consecutive quarters of
Correct.
declining GDP. So a recession can literally be 6 months, not 10 years.
Right.
So it really just depends. But to your point about investing in real estate, what about investing in stocks? What should people be doing? Like if they do have a refund, they already have their 6-month savings, where should they be putting their money?
So that again depends on, I want to say, what you're using the investments for. So let's say you have, so most of my clients are around our age, right? So let's call it late 20s to mid 30s, late 30s, right? Most of them are investing for the long term, 10, 15, 20, 30 years plus. I would say now is a killer time to get into the stock market. I mean, you're talking 30-ish% discount, right? From the top to the bottom. If the stock market goes down another 10, 15%, well, you know what? I wouldn't be too concerned because you still got in at a sweet 30% discount, right? So there's two ways to look at it. So if you want to play it a little bit more conservatively, right? Like I said, who knows if it's going to go down another 10% or 15%, 20, right? If we hit the 50% drawdown, let's call it, right? One thing you can do is say, hey, let me put in for the next 3 months. Let's say I have $3,000. So this month I'm going to put in 1,000. Next month I'm going to put in another 1,000. And then the month after I'm going to put in another 1,000. That way you'll smooth out the ride. So let's say it does go down another 5 or 10%. You can still keep investing each, a portion at the lowest, and you can get to the lowest mark, right, more smoothly. Whereas if you just went all in now at 3,000, you might not be so happy that it drops down another 10, 15%. But to my point earlier, if you're in it for the long haul, you're going to look back, it's going to be like literally a blink in your memory, right? There's going to be
just ask our parents.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, exactly. No, but yeah, but for real. So it's like every 10 years you're going to go through a bear market. It's like, oh, okay, here we go again, right? It's like no big deal. But one way to smooth out the ride, if you don't want to go all in now, just be very mechanical and say, okay, cool. I have $5,000 I want to invest. Okay, fine. Let's do a 5-month plan. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000 each month. If you
That's
want
really
to say,
smart, by the way.
yeah,
That's super clever.
so yeah, I mean, it's tried and true. I mean, it's a theory called dollar cost averaging. So basically, in the long run, your shares of stock or mutual funds or ETFs, and for those who don't know, mutual funds and ETFs, they're just basically baskets or buckets of stocks or bonds or a combination. So you're basically purchasing, you're going to get a lower average price in the long run. So you're going to have some up. So 1 month the stock market might be up, the next month it might be lower. So you're going to still have an average price somewhere in the middle. So you're still going to take advantage of those dips. So that's one thing I'd recommend. If you have cash on hand, you want to invest, you can just, if you want to take a more conservative approach, just slowly drip it in and just say, okay, I'm going to do it for 5 months and just be very mechanical. You don't have to try to chase the market and say, oh, the stock market's down 12%. Boom. You're going to drive yourself crazy. Just say, okay, cool.
Yeah.
The 5th of every month or the 1st or 15th, however you want to work it, just say, okay, boom, it's April 1st. Boom, $1,000. Okay. May 1st, boom, $1,000, right? You'll save yourself a lot of heartache and stress and everything, just
Right.
very mechanical. Yeah. So that's what I'd recommend. I mean, if you are, let's say you are using the money for, let's say you want to buy a house, right? Like I have clients who are saving up to buy homes within the next 3 to 4 or 5 years. I would say maybe max you want to put 30-ish, let's say 30 to 40%, 40% if you want to be a little bit more aggressive. I mean, I would say no more than 30% in the stock market, because let's say you wanted to buy a home in July and the stock market now is down 30%. Well, okay, you just lost 30%. So let's say you saved up $100,000 down payment. Well, oops, now you only have $70,000, right? So you want, if the shorter amount of time you have less room for error. So you want to have the least amount of volatility in your portfolio as possible. So if you're talking 1 year, 2 year, invest in CDs or high yield savings account or just cash, right? You can't afford to wait this out. If you have 4 or 5 years, you can afford to, if you have more wiggle room, yeah, you can shoot for a little bit more upside by investing maybe 30% in the stock market, I would say.
Now, would
So
you
really
say
just
go with the high interest savings accounts over the CDs? Or is
I
it
would
because the interest rates I've always seen have been fairly close?
correct. Now in these rates, because the interest rates have been so low for so many years, I I recommend to the majority of my clients to just open up a high yield savings account. As long as it's FDIC insured, a lot of these online banks, it's FDIC insured. They offer higher interest rates because they don't have real estate they have to worry about. They're not paying for brick and mortar shops on the streets, right? It's so their overhead is less. And it's like, okay, fine, you get a CD for 12 months and you might earn 1.7%. Well, I would rather earn 1.6% in a high yield savings account than an extra 0.1%, because in that high yield savings account, I have it's liquid. I don't have to, there's no penalties if I take the money out. I don't lose the interest that I earn. It's a lot more liquid than a CD. So, I mean, I almost maybe 9.5 times out of 10, I'll recommend in this environment, a high yield savings account. I mean, there's always, of course, depending on, it's a situational basis, but the majority of the time I would just recommend a high yield savings account for sure.
That's what my wife and I did. And
Yeah.
it was, I think early last year, it was up to like 2.5% interest.
Yeah.
So to me, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, oh, for sure. So, and you look at it in the flip side. So like, let's say now, if you got a CD, you locked in that rate, right, for that year, because I'm sure you've noticed the savings rates have slowly crept down.
Oh,
right?
for sure. It's down to like
Right,
1.7.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're doing like a year or less, or just if you just like an emergency fund, the easiest way, high yield savings account, no brainer. I mean, if you want to, if you can get a little bit more elaborate and do laddered CDs, so you can kind of try to get higher interest rates, but they're so low right now. I'm not really swayed by CDs at this point. Yeah, you can earn some more interest if you want to lock in your money longer, but for me, it's not worth locking my money for 2 years to get a higher interest rate when I can just get something close enough, let's say.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. Good questions. I mean, that's the biggest ones. Like, what do I do now? Right.
Right.
So, all right, let's see. I'm trying to run through some other questions that I have here. I know you got quite a lot for the real estate as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's a good one? Well, actually, I think we spoke about this a little bit, but I think someone asked you how much higher can home prices possibly get in California. I mean, I know you're focused here in LA. I mean, but you think of these places like, the Bay, San Francisco. I mean, is it going to pop? Is it going to hold its value? I know bigger states, bigger cities, they tend to hold their value and recover a lot more quickly than some small town in the Midwest or what have you. So
yeah,
again, we can't really predict, but I don't know what your thoughts were on that. I mean, it's kind of related.
Right. Well, I think there's two questions. One is LA a good market in general? And then, can prices go up? Well, the short answer is yes, right? I mean, there's homes here in LA. I've met people who've lived in their homes for like 30 years and they bought their houses for 180 grand. Like, there was one house, I'll give you a great example. A couple years ago, we bought it as a teardown.
Okay.
But when he bought it in the 80s, he bought it for 180 grand. I work with a developer. We bought it for almost 1.2 million.
Oh my gosh, go figure.
The carpeting, because I actually knew the previous owner of that house when he sold it in the 80s. He told me the same carpeting he installed 30 years ago was still there. Which means he really did nothing to the house.
Oh, I wonder what was under that.
I could only imagine. It's like, okay, that's crazy. So, and even historically in LA and in California, prices have gone up. In the last 5-ish years, home prices have gone up just under 5% per year. If you look over the last 10 years, it's actually gone up over 6% per year in LA County.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that has to do with, okay, take Detroit, for example. They got decimated once the car industry left. Here in LA, we have tech, we have
Yep.
entertainment, we have
Yep.
finance, we have all these different industries. So we have a lot of balance there. So if
Fair
one
enough.
industry
Yeah.
doesn't do well, something else will pick it up.
Yeah.
So we have, even Disney, Warner Brothers, I mean,
Oh yeah.
Netflix, Facebook, Google. Google just announced, they actually announced it last year. Yeah, beginning of last year. They're moving into the Westside Pavilion Mall where there's
Right.
58,000 square feet and they're going to lease the entire thing.
Nuts.
It's totally nuts. You go
Yeah.
to San Francisco in the Bay Area, you have all those tech companies and you do have a lot of finance and some other stuff going on. So I think that in terms of California maintaining its home values, even if there is a drop, based off history, it should bounce up quickly. There are parts of the country, the Nebraskas, the Oklahomas, where they do appreciate, but they appreciate your average 2.5% to 3% per year,
Sure.
which which is great. Appreciation's a good thing,
Oh yeah, for
but you're also
sure.
dealing with smaller numbers.
Yeah. So you're talking like, well, let's say like $200,000 home over there at 2% versus California. What's the average throughout California? I know it depends, or the median home price. I know it depends on the
Yeah,
city basis, if you know it off the top of your
good question. So, top of my head, thanks for the quiz. So in
head.
LA, the median home price is about 600,000
Okay.
because you're factoring in, the northeast portion of the San Fernando Valley,
Sure.
which drives prices down versus over by UCLA. So
Oh
yeah, the
yeah.
average is about 600,000, give or take. All of California, would need to double check. It's probably somewhere in the range of the mid threes.
Sure.
It
Okay.
would be my
So,
guess.
but I mean, think about it. So what you said was like
Correct.
six-ish percent, right? Okay. So fine. You have a $600,000 home in LA. 6% on that is $36,000
Yeah.
versus what, $200,000 and in somewhere else, and you're only appreciating, let's give benefit of the doubt, 2.5%. I mean, that's only $5,000.
Yeah. Well, and the other way I look at it is most people, they don't, especially people our age, they don't think, oh, I'm going to own this property for 30 years.
Okay.
Most think a year out, couple years out, 5 years out. When I talk to them, I say, look, when it comes to real estate, it's not about living in a house for 30 years. It's all about owning the house for 30 years. So, for example, I own a condo, I have a
Right.
house, and with the house, I have an ADU, accessory dwelling unit. It's a rentable and permitted guest house. Between the three of those, 30 years from now, my mortgages are going to be paid off. If I'm renting all three, that's about 60 grand a year in mortgages. That's gone. I'm now netting 60 grand a year, and that's with zero appreciation.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's a pretty popular thing I've seen these days. Basically, okay, fine, let's just get a basic home now, like
Hmm.
basic quote unquote, right?
Sure.
Get a home now.
Starter home.
We might not love it, but then, and as your careers progress, as your investments grow, whatnot, I've seen a lot of people, they hold on to it, exactly what you're doing. They say,
Yeah.
okay, cool, we're going to graduate from this condo into an actual home, right? And then they keep that condo or that other property, right? And then they use that as an income producing property.
Right.
And that's a great way to diversify your income.
Yeah. And what happened in 2008 with that crash is a lot of people were buying these second homes and not doing anything with them. They were just sitting empty. They're their vacation homes. They're
Oh
the
yeah.
bragging homes, right? So I have clients who've taken out lines of credit on their properties. I did it and used it to buy the next place. But the difference is I'm renting out the last house,
Yeah.
right? I'm renting out that condo, which is paying those bills.
Right.
So that's the difference that we're seeing today versus what happened in 2008.
Right. I mean, to your point, I feel like, and correct me if I have yet to have a place that I can rent out for my own. So I'm thinking to myself, is it not easier? Like, let's say you do have a vacation home or the bragging home, like you said, right? I would assume that today with Airbnb and other services, it's easier to produce some income off of those properties, even if you do want to just keep it as your summer home and say, hey, no one's allowed to stay here through the months of, June and August, because that's when I'm going to be with the family, and you'll get short-term renters or Airbnb. I mean, what have you seen with that?
So short answer is yes. Long answer is more and more cities are cracking down on the laws.
True. Okay. So
So like,
that's probably a whole other conversation we have to have
correct.
on that.
Right, but here
Okay,
in
got it.
LA, you can't do it unless it's your primary residence, which means
Oh
you have
wow.
lived in that house 6 months out of the year,
Okay.
and they're limiting it to like 120 days. But to your point, if you have that's for city of LA. If you have a house by the lake in Big Bear, it might be a
Got it.
totally different animal. But
Got it.
yeah, it's easier now. I mean, I I know people. I've talked to people where they've used their homes for filming,
Yeah.
TV shows, and they pay big bucks because for
Oh
them it's
yeah.
faster and easier to rent out a house than it is to build a set.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I'm sure that you come in for a day or two, right? Film a commercial, film whatever photo shoot you want to do for some ads, and you're out of there.
Yeah, and they pay a couple $1,000 a day, I've heard.
Yeah. Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
So, okay. Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I know this is somewhat on topic, somewhat not necessarily related to what's
Yeah.
going on now, but I'm always like a big believer in diversification across stocks, of course, but then also across asset classes. So I definitely
Mhm.
believe that real estate is a good piece to have in your portfolio. It's just a matter of what type of real estate, what you do with that real estate. But I
Sure.
mean, you've already presented ideas that I haven't even thought of. So there,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, for sure. Now, in terms of the stock market, because I know this morning event jumped up about 2,000 points, but otherwise it had dropped to the point of where Trump actually started his administration. Like we're almost like back to square one for him.
yeah,
Whether you like him or not, that's just the stock market.
yeah.
How is this different from a stock perspective than what happened in 2008?
So it's. Let me try to put it in the best way. So
Please do. Imagine
everyone,
I'm an idiot.
yeah, no, but it's 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 always gonna be different. So people say, oh, you hear people, oh, it's different this time. It's different this time. Yes, it is always different this time. So the situation is going to be different. What causes the stock market to go down is almost always going to be different. But how it recovers, that and how you basically plan for that, that's kind of what would be different or the same, excuse me. So yeah, let me back it up. It's going to be different every time. The cause is going to be different. I want to say almost every time. Okay.
Mhm.
But how you are able to protect your portfolio and your finances, that's going to be the same, right? So it's just a matter of, how is your portfolio built to weather this storm? So rather than I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but it's like you start your car, right? I'm just thinking about this on top of my head. You start your car, and if you see empty on the gas tank, you're like, well, crap, I should have got gas yesterday. And one of the first things you're gonna do is get gas. Whereas if you're, so trying to, that might not be the best analogy, but basically, like you want to have a full tank of gas, right? You don't
Right.
want to have to, call AAA to come fill up your gas station, your gas tank. So that's how I feel about the stock market. So basically, if you were doing the right things now, like up until this point, you have no reason to stress. The people who are stressing, who are like, oh crap, I am now out of gas. Now what do? I need to call AAA. You don't want to have to call AAA. You don't want to have to run out of gas, right?
Mm.
So it's a matter of how do we protect that portfolio? So it's just a matter of like working, with a financial advisor, financial planner to build out a plan for you and say, hey, this is, and just prepare and say, okay, it on average, each decade is going to have a bear market. It's just what's going to happen. Sure, we had a super long extended run, right? But on average, every decade you're going to have a bear market. It's just, are you prepared for it? How do you best prepare? Um, and now let's say you are out of gas, right? The worst thing you can do at this point, the very worst thing, is to sell out of your stock investments, because I've most of the conversations I've had with people in our age demographic, our generation, they're super gung ho. They want to buy now. I've had a few conversations and they said, hey, do I need to sell? Like, I'm getting nervous. Should I sell? I've already lost so much in my 401k, my Roth IRA, my regular IRAs, whatever else. I say, no, now is the worst time. You don't necessarily, you see the loss on your computer screen or your statements, but you don't, unless you sell, you don't realize that loss. So if you do sell, you basically lock in that loss and you're not going to be able to ride the wave back up. So let's say you sell now, right? Because you're just panic selling. They call it panic selling. You say, okay, I'm going to get back in when the market cools off. Okay. And then you wait 2 months and 3 months, and then you literally look behind you and you're like, oh crap, the stock market's back up 10, 15%. I just missed it. Like today, you mentioned the Dow was up 2,000 points or so, right? So the S&P 500, right, which is the top basically 500 stocks, right? It's an index. That was up over 9% today. So if you literally sold yesterday and you stayed out, well, you missed out on a 9% rebound, right?
So instead of selling, they should have just taken a nap and they would have made more money.
100%. The easiest, 100%. Yeah, it sucks. Believe me, it sucks. Every financial advisor you talk to, they're losing money unless they're a big wig hedge fund manager, right? But it's more trying to keep your emotions in check. The worst thing you can do is sell out of your investments now because you are locking in that loss, right? But if you just are able to, like you said, sleep through it, right? Just basically close your computer, don't log in for another couple months, right? You'll see that things will calm down. So if you do need the cash, right? Like let's say you're like, oh crap, I made a mistake. I need the money now, right? I'm out. I just lost my job because of this whole coronavirus layoffs, whatever. I would highly, like, if you have other investors, so let's say you have a stock and bond portfolio, right? Let's say if it's half and half or even like 80% stock, 20% bond, take from the bond portion of it first, because basically you want to give these stocks a chance to rebound and come back, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if you follow.
So it's same in real estate, right? It's still a paper loss. Oh,
correct.
My home value went down. Well, if you're not going to sell, you're not going to refinance, who cares?
Exactly.
You're getting enjoyment out of it.
So so that's the stocks are the last thing you want to touch. If you're if you have a properly set up investment, now if you're all invested in one single stock, you're going to sweat, right? But majority of the clients I have, even now, like I come across a lot of millennials who use these robo advisors, or they just are a lot more educated than the generation before us. So they do have pretty solid portfolios. They own different ETFs and mutual funds. So they're not sweating as much. Whereas you have, some people who might own 2 stocks and 2 stocks only, you're not going to be properly diversified. So you might be sweating a little bit, but still, touch the stocks last is what I would say. I don't know. How does that answer? I know
you got it.
Okay.
It was good. It was good. Now you mentioned the robo advisors and all that. So if someone is looking for a financial advisor, right? Because I know you'd want to serve as many people as possible, but there might be someone in Alaska who's like, hey, I'm watching this, but I'd rather go with someone local.
Sure.
Yeah. What questions should they be asking of a financial advisor? Like what kind of interview questions should they be asking?
So there are tons of questions. So basically, to find your financial advisor, you got to figure out how they're compensated. This is a whole other conversation. So you got to figure out how they're compensated, if they're fee only, fee based, commission based, whatever. The whole debate of what's better, I'm not going to get into, right?
Sure.
But from a philosophical standpoint, you want to ask them questions. Like at the end of the day, you want to work with someone you like and you feel comfortable with. And experience is for sure important, right? But questions you should ask more so are like their views of the stock market, of the economy. Like, what would you do if another 2008, 2009 comes around? What would you do in another pandemic? Like, how would you view the stock market? Would you sell? Would you not? Would you buy? Like, you want a financial advisor who is going to basically trying to think. Like, I'm trying to think of specific questions, but there's so many to ask. But I think the most important is to figure questions to see how they will respond to crises, if you want to call this a crisis, like this, right? Are they going to be panicking, right? Like, how can they coach you through a time like this? Like, is your financial advisor going to go against his advice and sell out of his investments, right? I think that's the biggest thing. But I mean, I would start with asking, what the financial advisor's credentials are, and see how they're compensated. Again, I'm not going to get into the debate of which is better, which is not, but you should know if they're fee only, if they get fees and commission, or commission only, what have you. That's important to know, so you know what you're getting into. And then just see how they work overall with their clients and how they kind of run their business. Like, it's all about comfort and vibe, and if you like who you're working with too. Sure. So I can always shoot out a list of questions. I know there's a few good articles out there, so we can, I guess, provide that to the audience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We can post those in the show notes.
For sure.
Okay.
Cool. What else? I know, how we're doing on time. We're good on time?
Yeah, we're good on time.
We got a lot of stuff to wrap about. All right. What anything that I missed or that you missed so far? I know
So let's see, what are some of the questions people have brought in? So we've covered that. You've covered a lot.
I know, I'm running through them.
I know. That's what happens when you're good at what you do.
Yeah, I'm running through all the questions that you and I have talked about. I'm like, I can't even imagine. Like, I've crossed off so many.
So we've talked about, let's see. Okay. So one random question I had received was, should you get a license if, in this market, in other words, a real estate license? And the answer is it doesn't really matter when you get it. Because if you get it when the market's hot, then everybody wants to get it, and now you have tons of competition. If you wait for the opposite, like in, let's say, 2009, oh, is now a good time? Well, there's no houses, everything's in uproar. I would never want to be an agent. Well,
right.
That's also a bad time. So there's never a good time.
Right.
It just comes time to what you feel confident, and know that if you're doing this, you're not doing it for the money. Because if you're doing anything for the money, I feel like the money is just a byproduct of what you do. But to really focus on what you love. I love real estate, you love finance. So that's more what you should be focusing on.
Right.
Plus, everything's in quarantine. You can't even get tested anyways. I mean, right? It's like I'm pretty sure the testing centers are closed.
Oh, I'm almost positive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because you have to do it in person to make sure everyone's, doing anything on the right path. That's the answer for that one right there. It's just make sure you do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, to your point also, it's like, there's never going to be the best time. It's like, if this is your passion, if you want to sell homes, you want to service your clients and do the best you can, what's the difference between now and 5 months from now? I mean, this isn't going to last forever. And I think you may have been the one who told me this. I don't remember exactly what the saying is, but like, people are always going, oh, it's a seller's market, it's a buyer's market. Oh, there's nothing, right? Something like that. But
it's always a good market.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always a good market. It just depends what side you're on.
Exactly. So yeah, you know what? I would say, look, the same thing for all of these guys who are, and guys inclusive of women too, right? But all these guys who are studying for the CFP, the Certified Financial Planner exam, all this, keep going, keep doing it. Nothing's changed. I mean, now might be an even better time than ever when you're forced to stay inside and actually hit the books, right?
You don't have an excuse not to study.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was that, and then totally different subject, but related to real estate, because I know you brought it up. I've been seeing more and more. It's all about the updates on the mortgage payment relief.
Right.
So, on the landlord side and the tenant side, if you can't, in LA, they did pass to California, where if you can't pay the rent and it's directly related to COVID-19, you can work with your landlord on having your monthly rent reduced
Great.
but you still owe it later, right? So
Sure.
if you reduce it by 20%, you got to make up that 20% later on. That's a discussion between the tenant and the landlord.
Right. Okay.
Right. So if let's say I'm charging a tenant $2,000 a month and he's having problems or she's having problems, okay, fine, we're going to drop it down to $1,500 a month for the next 2 months. But now we have a delta of $1,000. After that, your rent's going up $200 a month to compensate for that difference for the remainder of the lease.
Yeah. And exactly to that though, because I've had clients ask like, oh, we might get relief on this. I might not have to owe on this. And I say, if you have the money, you're still working, pay it, because you're going to have to pay more later and you're going to be sad about it. It's going to be very frustrating. So I say, if you have the money, you have the income coming in, just pay it as normal, unless you are truly hurting for the money and you are directly impacted by this. Like if you are directly impacted, for sure, pause or get some relief, right? But if you're not directly impacted, just keep paying as you would normally, for sure.
Right. And every lender is doing something different in terms of what they're offering. So for example, I think Chase Bank is offering a forbearance period where they'll reduce the mortgage or, total relief, but it's only for a set period of time. And then you got to pay essentially a balloon payment at the end of the period. But in every scenario I've read, they are still accruing interest. They're not holding off on interest. That is still happening. And to your point, it's like you can pause your payments, you can work with the bank, but there's going to be consequences for that. So just be prepared.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, especially 100%, if that interest is accruing and you can afford to pay it, then pay it, because you're going to owe more for sure.
Yeah.
At the end of it, but I mean, hey, it's there if you need it, which is a great thing. So if you are in that situation, for sure, you have to take advantage of it, right? And then you can work your way back towards it. But if things are going as normal for you and the only difference you have now is that you're working in your living room, right? It's kind of like what I'm doing today. I'm
in my living room, but I actually live in our ADU, so it's not saying much.
House hack, right?
Right.
That's your house. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, yeah, you want to be paying it as planned unless you really can't afford it.
Yeah. So I think that wraps up all the questions. So Mike, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
So the best way to get a hold of me, if you want to contact me directly, would be michael@fromplanningtoliving.com. And that's TO, not the number 2. So michael@fromplanningtoliving.com. I actually just started a business Instagram page, which I'm trying to get up and running. It's @FromPlanningToLiving. Those are probably the best 2 ways to get a hold of me. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm sure I'm the only Michael Izbotsky on there.
High probability.
Yeah.
Great. And then
what about yourself? Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, if anyone wants to get a hold of me, I'm on all the major social platforms at Rick B. Albert. Or feel free to even call or text me at 323-929-7653. Thank you, everyone who's watching this. We appreciate it. The little disclaimers you saw in the beginning, this is all general. If you have any specific real estate questions, specific financial questions, because every scenario is different, please reach out to one of us or to whatever you wish. But in the meantime, if you have more questions, shoot them our way. We'll do another one of these if we feel if we get the feedback that this is really important for people.
Yeah, and again, all feedback is welcome. Good feedback, constructive criticism. Try not to hurt our feelings too much, and
you can hurt my feelings. It's fine. I'll get over it.
Yeah, you're like a wall. Boom.
There you go.
So yeah, thanks guys. It's been a good time, Rick. I appreciate it. And,
absolutely.
We'll be in touch.
Perfect. I'll see you later.
All right.
Thanks. Bye.
See ya.
Okay.
Hey everyone. Hopefully you liked the video. If so, please don't forget to give it a like. Maybe show some love in the comments. Also, don't forget to subscribe. We do have other videos posted. Please go ahead and watch them, enjoy them. They'll be posted somewhere here. Feel free to click or just view the channel in general. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next week.